Reverend Ron.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? Where are you?
I am in North Vancouver COVID headquarters, Phares Terrace on 3rd Street. And we've been bunkered down for a week and a half now, hopefully emerging from that and feeling better every day a little bit. But that's where we are, North Vancouver, where it gets dark at September o'clock and stays dark, except for today. You can't see it. I got the curtains closed, but it's actually beautiful and sunny today. But yeah, it's been a little getting used to it getting dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's been a change.
Yeah. Now, I know I asked you to come do this conversation with me when we thought we were heading into a lower risk time and we thought we were going to do a building dedication. But I'm very grateful you said yes. I don't know what it's like though. What's it like? You're not even getting to see all the congregants. You're talking to me and yet you're talking to them. I don't even know how that feels.
Yeah. I'm talking to my memory of Mountain Vista, I suppose, which is a little unfair because you all are actually seeing a real sort of recorded but live version of me, at least a present day version of me. But the cast of characters from my days in Mountain Vista has stayed with me, and actually informed my ministry up here quite a bit. The impact of the relationships linger for a long time. Yeah. So I'm really thrilled that Mountain Vista has a home, and because it's been a long time coming, and it's well deserved. And I can't wait to see what happens at Mountain Vista now that you have roots, because you've been a bit rootless for a while, and that's provided a lot of challenge. One thing I've been remembering this past week is as we were preparing, or maybe it was while we were moving, because we did a couple of hops, skips, and jumps along the way. I remember one of the sort of preaching themes that emerged was gird for the weird. And
people still say that. People remember you saying that.
For the weird. And someone gave me a girdle, which I don't know if it survived the move, to be honest with you. But pretty soon y'all be able to take off your girdles. Yeah.
Maybe. Pandemic. When you said that then, what kind of weird were you thinking?
We didn't, maybe we were even in the midst of it. I think I remember talking about that when we were in a school campus theater where the seats were designed for middle school sized people. And we had, full-sized adults sitting in them with their chins on their knees. And, so that was pretty weird. And it was like, you would come in, it'd be bright Arizona sun, and you would come in, it'd be super dark because it was a theater, and you would come in immediately to a sort of weird mogul-shaped incline, which was just like, that was a broken leg waiting to happen, right? And so like that automatically was just, we were in the weirdness. And so I don't know that I imagined anything, although I did, we knew it was going to be stressful, and so try to keep it as lighthearted and fun as possible for as long as we could. So knowing that we didn't know what was ahead of us necessarily, that place was probably going to be temporary, definitely going to be temporary. But we didn't know if it was the first of how many temporary stops we'd be making. And so it just felt like we needed to be prepared with some humor, um, for the unexpected and for the slightly uncomfortable. And um, I think we actually got a good bit of discomfort along the way. In fact, everything from too small chairs to awkward meeting times. The Sunday afternoon meeting time was far from ideal. Um, but, Mountain Vista remains and rolled through it, and evidently had their girdles on enough uh, to successfully complete the mission and find a new home. So,
Mhm. Yeah, you had like quite a journey with this community, and this community had a real journey with you. What was the Mountain Vista you met at the beginning, and how was Mountain Vista when you left?
hmm. Well, from my perspective, of course, um, in some ways, it remained the same kind of community in the sense that I think that not only just the core, but the main of Mountain Vista really did care about Unitarian Universalism and each other. And that was here before me, and I don't think I killed it. So that
Mm,
remained after I was gone. So in that sense, it didn't change a whole lot. In other ways, I think that we I want to say like grew up a little bit, but that's not exactly the right way to put it. But it's about as far as I can get to at the moment. So maybe I'll just describe it and it'll come out. Um, when I got to Mountain Vista, we were pretty solidly family style church in our operations. Um, Although always punching above our weight class, I think, in terms of programming
mm,
and ambition, and usually doing so with some success. It was always a really dynamic um, community with a lot going on. Um, and so I think like there was a moment when that we recognized that, and in fact that was kind of what said, all right, it's time to get a bigger place, uh, a place that has maybe a more substantial place, and so that the move was rooted in that sort of culture of wanting to grow as a community, as an ability,
mhm,
um, and however, the move never allowed us to quite hit that level, I don't think, until Mountain Vista finally settles into their home. Then they'll be able to like emerge from this chrysalis that they've
mhm,
been in for several years. Um, so I think I left them while they were still in chrysalis.
mhm.
Yeah. So they were in the midst of transformation. Um, and seemed to be on a trajectory out of it. Um, and but yeah, it was unresolved. So I found them in a more resolved state than I left them, I think. Um,
Hmm.
or left them when I departed anyway.
Mhm.
But and the resolution had an intention, or the hoped for resolution, right? It was an intention, but it was still an intention when I left. Had a trajectory, but still an intention.
Mm. Mhm. I resonate. as as we watch another chrysalis, which is this piece of being multi-platform in a building that people haven't been able to fully use, and knowing I'll leave in 3 or 4 months. So chrysalis, I feel like the butterfly experience will actually emerge with the next minister,
Yeah.
which is a really long chrysalis for
It's
people to live in.
yeah.
It's a really
Yeah.
long chrysalis.
I
Yeah.
wonder, one of the things I was wondering about actually was um, how in some ways, maybe this is, I mean, I guess I'm speculating more than wondering, um, that all of the uncertainty regarding location and home, if that actually prepared Mountain Vista in some weird ways to be in pandemic times more than most congregations were prepared for it.
Brilliantly. What I've experienced with them through the pandemic is actually they were already skilled in not being attached to a physical location with each other.
Right.
And in some way, the tool of Zoom, although not everyone's favorite, became this satisfying location.
Oh, yeah.
And the experience of not having a location at all, that has experienced like there's been a flourishing. And so there's a way. I always feel sad when I kind of hear myself say there's a chrysalis that's not complete yet,
Mm-hmm.
because it still ties the butterfly to the location, like the physical location.
Right.
And we know like churches are just more than that.
Right.
So there's also been kind of like a relational flourishing independent of the physical place.
Yeah. Chrysalis
That
might not be the right metaphor in some ways.
maybe, yeah,
I don't know what
I don't
else
know.
would be. Yeah.
I don't know. Um, but I'm curious. The tag along question I had to Mountain Vista transforming is also about you.
Mm.
They are looking for their next called settled minister. Who were you when you showed up for them, and then who were you when you left?
I was a greenhorn when I showed up. Um,
I don't even know what that means. What's a greenhorn?
oh, that means a newbie, wet behind the ears.
Oh,
More or less fresh out of
green.
seminary. I had, 1 year of part-time contract ministry. And, what I did have was some Arizona roots and a lot of enthusiasm for Unitarian Universalism and congregational life, and uh, some book learning. And so, yeah, there, you know, uh, got to, I'm getting all Western in my metaphors here, but like live bullets at Mountain Vista, although there were never live bullets at Mountain Vista, right? But we, yeah, it was just I was a new minister, and it was a great place for a new minister. It was a great place uh, to learn how to do ministry, and I was fortunate that I think uh, they understood shared ministry, and there was a number of folks there who I think understood uh, their role as congregants as ministerial in some degree, and that was really rewarding, and and um, I learned a lot, right? And so I was new when I got here, and when I left, I was wiser. I hope, um, and um, a little more cynical, right? Because some of the things that are supposed to work, didn't work. Um, and some things maybe I thought would be easy weren't.
Mhm.
But that's, it's not overly cynical. It's more like healthy cynical. That's kind of the other side of wisdom, maybe. Um, although, again, sort of like Mountain Vista was who it was when I got there and after I left. There's for better and worse. Um, the same applies to me, I think. Uh, so the same disposition, um, the same dreams for ministry and for Unitarian Universalism. Um, or if not the same dreams, the same sort of way of dreaming.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Is there anything you look back on in your ministry now that you feel like you understand better or differently that you didn't understand then, or?
I would say, let's see. Is there anything that I understand about ministry that I understand differently for having served at MVU? Um, I sort of want to say yes, but I don't think I can.
Mhm.
Uh, why is that? I think that there are probably lessons that I should have learned that I just didn't.
Uh-huh.
uh, which probably means that I never will. And I mean, and then there are lessons that I learned that you're just like, oh, okay, but I don't know that it necessarily changed me or changed what I think about ministry or anything like that. Like,
Mm.
um, like conflict is hard and it stinks. And that's just like, that's a thing.
Mhm.
That I don't have anywhere to put that in response to your question, but that's like where my mind went. I think one of the things I would like to have learned, or maybe I should have learned, is that I wish in the midst of conflict, I had the ability to sort of hover up to a 10,000 foot sort of perspective and just sort of stay there and provide ministry to everybody instead of getting in the trenches, right? But that's not what I've done, and it still isn't what I do.
Mhm.
Although I can see the benefit of it, and and even more so because I don't think I do or manage conflict in congregations particularly well. And I'd like to see somebody who does, but it's not me. Um, so, and which isn't to say that like my time there was filled with conflict. There was a couple, and one about the building, which kind of like hit a crescendo, um, both metaphorically and literally. at one point. But I think even that, particularly at Mountain Vista, operated along the lines of a family type system and worked itself out in a similar fashion after time. So, you know, I sort of wish that from that experience, I would be like, oh, I see this thing coming, and now I can go and elevate and be a calm, non-anxious presence, but I don't. Yeah. Yeah, I learned. Yeah, and I've I learned that conflict gets worked out in any number of ways, and it's not always, you know, it's not always the easiest way. But sometimes the easiest way is not the most effective way either. So.
Yeah. Can I take you in a different direction?
Sure.
So Debbie Roberts has a memory of you all working on the 3 values that you had: welcome, care for, and inspire. And she has a memory where you really were strongly, or you were not interested in the word transform, but you were interested in the word inspire. So I don't know if you remember that or not.
I remember being suspicious of the word transform. There
you go. Okay. Healthy skepticism. So ironically now, the new value is inspiring transformation. What do you think it means? And if that was a real thing in congregational life, what would it mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting because just this week we were looking at our own mission statement up here, and there's a phrase in there: inspiring acts in the service of life is one of the things. And there's that, and so when I saw inspiring transformation, of course, you know, the old there's that word transformation again thing comes up for me. But the inspiring, and I'm like, why don't we just act in service of life? Why do we have to inspire and to act in the service of life? All right. So I think that it's interesting. Transformation, in some ways, takes no inspiration because it is the fundamental law of the universe. Everything is always changing, right? And so many of our institutions are designed, in fact, to keep us from transforming. Like, institutions are designed to preserve in many ways. And maybe that's where we as a culture writ large are getting it wrong a bit, right? So inspiring transformation, I think there's like a hidden clause in there, I guess, because a qualifier of some kind. Because it's not just that you're inspiring transformation, because A, you can't help but transform, and B, you could transform into something monstrous, right? So you have to inspire a kind of transformation. What kind of transformation are you looking for? And so that was my first thought when I saw those things. It's like, okay, so then inspiring becomes directed. To me, it's the direction, and it's the direction of the transformation, which is very necessary. Transformation, of course, is a very much used word in religious circles, and loses its meaning after a while. And of course, oh my God, every congregation wants change until it happens. Right now, it's interesting, Mountain Vista, that you want transformation. Oh, you've been going through a transformation for 5 years or something. I could see that you would like, and your mission statement be like, and no more transformation.
Would you say that again? Froze on my screen.
I was just saying that after 5 years of transformation, I could see Mountain Vista having in their mission statement, and no more transformation. We will not transform anymore. We're going to stay the same. That would be understandable, but y'all are gluttons for punishment, I suppose. So you want to change more, but that's an interesting question. All right, so what do you want to change into? And that's the thing. Like, I would just say, you know, what is it's what do you want to be that you are not? And really imagine that. What does that look like personally? Not for the congregation, and not for anybody else outside the congregation. All right. And what are you willing to lose that you love in order to make that happen? Because there will be that, right? And it's worth it if the dream, you know, is worth it, then the cost will be well paid. But there will be a cost. And so, you know, both at Mountain Vista and here in this congregation that I serve now, there was the desire for change, but when change came, there was resistance, and that's not surprising. That's human. But just have something in mind. What is it that you want to be that you're not, and what are you willing to give up to get it? Because it's real. Like it could be amazing. Inspiring transformation is amazing. It might just be time. It might be sleep that you're going to lose. It might be our relationships. It might be traditions. But it's going to be something. And it doesn't have to be bad, but it's going to be something. And so like I'm less opposed to the word transformation now, Debbie, than I was, but I actually like the word. I always have liked the word, or the concept anyway. I just want it to mean something. Yeah. And so it means something when you have, I think, a dream, like a real solid dream attached to it, right? So there was a real solid dream attached to moving. And there was a cost also, right? And I mean, lots of costs. But now you've got that transformation almost complete. And hopefully, I think it will have been worthwhile and worth the cost. And so that's like a real transformation. And you can kind of look back on that and say, all right, so I want to make a spiritual transformation now. Like, it's the same road. And hopefully it'll be worth it. With less arguing over paint colors. But yeah.
I guess I'm curious about a blessing for their next step.
Yeah. So, um, so I'll tell a little story. Up here in Canada, um, cannabis is legal, and Katie, my wife, works in a cannabis store, and so it's around. And I've been exploring using it ceremonially in prayer life and things like that. And so a while ago, I smoked some and then put on some music, and I sat down to just be open to whatever came my way. And as soon as the music rolled in and the um, altered consciousness took effect, I thought, oh crap. And I just got like, it was like overwhelming.
Mhm.
And my first reaction to that was to say, it just emerged out of my being. And I said, I ask for blessings on this journey. And then the image that came to me was of standing on the edge of a very dark forest, knowing that there's all kinds of things in that forest, that the forest itself is alive. There are various levels of being in that woods that has their own agenda.
Mm.
And I was going to need to navigate that. And I was in many ways, almost in all ways, at the mercy of all those levels of being, from the forest writ large as a single entity to the various animals and individual blades of grasses and everything, right? So like just this massive interdependent series of beings that I was going to pass through, and I was at their mercy. And that's what I was asking. That's what I was asking for blessings for. And ever since that moment, I feel like I finally understand what it is to ask for a blessing,
Mhm.
right? It is to put oneself at the mercy of an interdependence of being that is too intricate and fathomless to name. And so it is with that in mind, with that in our hearts,
Mm.
not knowing what lies ahead, that I ask for blessings on the journey of the good people of Mountain Vista as they move together into a new rooted place. I ask for moments of rest and togetherness. I ask for the opportunity to hear each other's voices raised in song. I ask for a roof overhead to be the thing that takes the limits off. I ask for pride of place and the feeling of home. And actually, Sam, that brings me back to one thing that I learned quite directly um, from John. Um, Beloved sparring partner at Mountain Vista, who gave me a bit of wisdom that I have kept with me to this day and will always keep with me. And that is that something along the line, I mean, it's maybe evolved since our conversation to some degree. I don't actually know, but I know it was rooted there, and maybe it's the same. And that is that spirituality, like a spiritual experience is an experience of home.
Mm.
That feeling is a spiritual experience. And I've used that in my own personal life and ministerially ever since that series of conversations that he and I had. I just love it. I love it. I mean, even I like it lends itself sonically to some meditative, chanting stuff too, right? And just the recognition of you recognizing a place and a place recognizing you as a spiritual experience. I mean, it is little I indigenous. It is what we need most in the world right now, is to feel home. And I'm just really happy that Mountain Vista is going to get a chance to have that spiritual experience soon. For real.
For reals. Is there anything you'd want to say, a final word or a word that you didn't get to say when you left?
All my sermons were pretty long, so I don't know that they need many more words from me. No, I think I probably still have a couple of your long chairs. Sorry about that, everybody. From when we had Justice DA down there at the border. I got like 25 folding chairs, and I think I redistributed about 18. So I don't know. Apologies for that. No, I'm so proud of y'all, and it's been a long time coming. I can't wait for you to get into place and, put some memories in there. That's going to be exciting. Who knows what craziness is about to unfold. And yeah, I can't wait to the best is going to be, I imagine, when you hear all your voices singing in that space, is going to be so nice. I'm just really happy for you all. Like, you did it. You did it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Mountain Vista.